Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the great Colin from Amenra. How are you doing today, sir?
Fine, thank you. And you?
I am well. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to discuss the new album, Doorn, out now on Relapse Records. Congratulations on this masterpiece. Before I unpack anything artistic or interesting about the record, of course, it's been a really difficult time in the world, and I want to just make sure that you're well, your family, the band, everybody is okay, because I don't want to ever lose that part of humanity. As much as I
Yeah,
care
yeah,
about the art, I want to make sure everybody's okay.
yeah. We've all been spared. No one has been ill, and it's been a slow but steady period. We tried to enjoy the time we had. We got to spend together as much as we could. So we had some quality time with the families. All
That's
good.
good. That seems to be the prevailing silver lining, if there's such a thing, on any of
Hmm.
these
Yeah.
cases, is that people have gotten to be home a little more. Again, you're a band, as a group, you tour and perform all the time, festivals, concerts, tours. And I know it can get very monotonous, the cycle of record, tour, record, tour. So maybe the break was good. I often say that, the thing is that the record industry doesn't account for is you have to have life experience. You have to live in between to make new
Hmm.
art. You have to live your life
Yeah.
a little. So certainly after this period of time, we'll all have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it was an interesting time to get inspired. That's for sure. Yeah, or like redo the balance, check the balances of everything. What's important, what's not important, what did you miss, what did you not miss. So yeah, for sure, it's been interesting. It's been an interesting time.
And then, again, you came from this sort of arc of these mass albums, very,
Hmm.
not linear, but very thematically aligned, I believe. And now Dorn is a whole different animal. It's still Amenra. It's still, I think, what people come to the band for, this emotional release and this building of tension and letting go. But it is definitely a new and different animal for the band musically.
Yeah, could be. For us, it's very hard to judge. From our point of view, I mean, it's 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 our story, and we tell it, and then how it comes out of us probably changes, but for ourselves it's in such a slow and gradual way. For our listeners it's kind of abrupt because it's an album poof that is thrown on the table, but for us, we were there when the first note was written for this album. So for us, and it never really feels like a change. It feels like a continuation more. But like you said, I think if the essence of our story is there, if you recognize, and that's the thing you feel, you cannot really describe what it is. Then I think we've protected or the core of what we are doing.
Nice. And it is important to protect it because at the end of the day, fans and critics, it's nice if they appreciate it and they get it, but it's really for you. Art is for you. And if other people, you want people to appreciate it and get it, air quotes, get it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think at this level, in this style of music, it's obviously if you're satisfying yourself and you've been very consistent up to now, chances are everybody's going to dig it. And it's interesting though, it's kind of like a glacier moving. You look at a photograph of yourself from like when you were a child. Is that me? I guess it's still me. I'm me
Yeah.
now, but it's like you don't recognize the change. So I love that you framed it that way. And yeah, De Doorn is fantastic. It's got all the things. I wanted to ask about singing in Flemish and maybe a
Mm-hmm.
Flemish influence. I think there's a sort of storytelling angle and device for the lyrics and the story of the album. If it is a concept of any kind, I wanted to ask you about it and sort of what sort of taking yourself out of your comfort zone in another language, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like a lot in our decisions, it grows organically. So there were like different reasons why I went for the Flemish. One was very practical. We wrote a lot of these songs and most of these songs for special events that we had created in our own country. Those were like big fire rituals in city parks and things like that. And so I knew 90% of the people there were going to be speaking my language, Flemish. So I wanted to have a direct line, when I was addressing them at those nights. I I wanted to be as direct as I possibly could. So that was one reason why I started writing in Flemish. And then I grew an affinity with my own language in art um, through the years. For English speaking people, you're used to having your favorite music in your own language, pretty much. But for us, it's always English. It's English. So we've grown accustomed to that idea. So it's weird for us to take the step towards your own language, because you kind of don't really take it seriously in a way. Our generation didn't, but there was a generation before us that did, and that had this sort of folk storytelling style of music that was called kleinkunst, like small art. It's called translated, and those were very poetic and profound, deep lyrics, and were beautifully stories told in a very direct language, but still it had a lot of beauty. It's like comparable to like Townes Van Zandt and things like that, along the like like this kind of way. So I started growing affinity, and I saw the potential of of my own language, and then yeah, it has become what it is today. And it was kind of weird because we have a lot of sounds that are different, especially when I have to scream those words. We have the different pronunciation of sounds and letters, so it kind of took some time to adjust. But if you can write in your mother tongue, you can be way more refined, and you can play with words a lot better, and you can have things to read between the lines. When I read in a different language, English or French or German or whatever, I kind of hit a glass ceiling at a certain point, as my vocabulary isn't as elaborate. But yeah, it's interesting to have all those different building blocks, and try to create and try things, and switch things around, and makes it interesting, and gives you another angle to your story, and other things to work with. So yeah.
Nice. I love the mention of Townes Van Zandt and folk music in general, and how it kind of permeates every culture in its own way, every native folk music and folk art in a way. And yeah, I would imagine just for you personally, it's got to be energizing to have a brand new approach, so a new, not brand new, but a new approach to try out on this on this album and this process, because, obviously, like you yourself, not that you would, get complacent, but here we go again, another set of lyrics, like here,
No, but it's
this
true.
is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially when, because we don't reinvent ourselves thematically. I know our story is our story, and it'll always be that same story, pretty much. So after 20 years or several albums and side projects and whatever, yeah, that vocabulary is pretty worn out. So you always get back to the same metaphors and images, and so yeah, you kind of have to find ways to work with it. Yeah.
Awesome. I saw a really funny thing. It was like the most used word in all of Iron Maiden's lyrics is hell. And so, I like hell. And so maybe Bruce Dickinson is making a new Iron Maiden record, and he's like, I'm going to not use hell this time. I'll go out of my way to never say hell again. So just, the things that you take into consideration when making art. And obviously you don't want to plot too carefully also. So I think that there's a freedom in this approach that has probably been really useful for you.
Yeah. I think that freedom is indeed important, because it gets harder and harder to find that freedom when you exist longer as a band, or become bigger, between brackets. Expectations become bigger, and there's a lot more parameters you're trying to take in account, and you have to be careful not to get lost in those things in a way. And this album, and the writing process for this album, was very thankful for us, because we weren't really realizing that we were writing an album. We were really writing for those nights, to get a certain amount of minutes of music ready for those ceremonies and things that we have created. So So we never really actively realized that we were writing an album, or this song needs to be on the or Relapse debut album, which would have put a lot of more weight on our shoulders. So we were able to break away from that, and I think that was really, nice for us to be so free in that one. Yeah.
Amazing. And then it worked out because you had a record to deliver and a new label. And I wanted to talk for a second about Relapse before I get back to some more of the music. What a great pairing. Relapse has been one of the champion labels of the underground for decades now. And what a good pairing. I think it certainly will help get Amenra, not that you need more credit, but certainly sales helps and recognition helps, and Relapse. I think there's a culture of fans that would just see an album on Relapse and just buy it. Maybe that, I think to a certain culture of fans, a lot of people, were waiting for this album, very highly anticipated for us, especially. But I think it's a great pairing to have the minds of like Relapse and yourself and Amenra collectively together.
Yeah, I think so as well. It was really nice to work with them and have their opinions and help. And when we had questions like how does that work, how does that work, they have a team of very capable people there that helped us out. And because we've been used to doing a lot ourselves and with the help of friends for 20 years. And as you're on mainland Europe, I mean, you don't have your tentacles out over the whole world, and other countries or territories work differently, and you have to find your way in that. And they really helped us out with that. It was nice. They're broad thinking. They don't really think very narrowly. They go broad in their signing of bands. There's it's not only they see heavy in a wide spectrum. So yeah, I'm really happy that we found them and they found us. And I hope we can continue to work together for a long time. Yeah.
Nice. And for a group that has always put what I believe to be a premium on the visual element, the album artwork, the live presentation, even down to shirts and things like that, it's really cool to have the power of a brand like Relapse make a nice bundle, put all the imaging in a layout, and put a print, the same care I think that you have always taken, all of you, Amenra. It's nice to see.
Yeah, definitely. They gave us the freedom that we wanted, so they didn't really mingle. Everybody is always scared when you go to a bigger label, but times they have theory and you have how it is in the real world, and they give their artists the freedom that they seek, and want. So yeah, it was cool.
Right.
Nice.
I think what people know about you personally, as well as the group, is you're never going to change or compromise what you do. This is what you do. And you would not align yourselves with a partner that wouldn't allow you to continue to have that, latitude.
I think, and people know that we have our opinions and our we know what we want. So, if you would not want to go along with us, you wouldn't really try to work with us either, I think, so. Yeah, it all went very, very easy. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was cool.
I like to say that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So it's good that, self-awareness is important. Like, our kind of band would not work for every label. It's good to know that too.
Yeah, we're not the easiest people to work with, So.
I understand. Back to the music for a second. I definitely didn't want to lose the opportunity to ask. I love Caro from Oathbreaker. Oathbreaker is one of the greatest bands ever. And I was so pleased to see her work with you, as well as the great contrast between what you do and what she does vocally. It brings so much to the music to have that extra voice on there. What was it like for you to incorporate her? Did you write with her in mind? And of course, I'd love to know if you work with her again.
Yeah. So yeah, Caro is a very good friend of we lived in the same city for years. Belgium is a really small country for one, but we even lived in the same city, so we saw each other a lot. And Lennart, our guitar player, played in Oathbreaker with her for all those years. So in 2017 they went on a break or a hiatus, and she moved to the States as well. So we got to see less of her, and only when we were on tour most of the time that we hooked up with each other. and we were always very happy to see her. And so this album was mainly written by Lennart. He took the forefront in the writing process of this one. And I always like to have I always like to have female and male vocals. I love that balance of those. Feels more like a more complete way of trying to tell a story of humanity as a whole. So then Lennart and me were talking about it afterwards. So we had written this album, and the lyrics were mainly written because we had to write them for those nights in Belgium. But as we realized that we had written an album afterwards, and we started looking at it as an album, then Caro came to mind. I think it was Lennart or myself, I'm not sure anymore, who brought her up. I went like, hey, this is the perfect moment to ask Caro if she wants to add, if she wants to contribute to this album. She's Flemish, obviously. And it was the ideal opportunity to get back together and do something together, and hopefully get to play some tours as well together. Because it's hard living on different continents, and it's not like that we have concrete plans of we're gonna do tours together and shows together from now on. But I'm pretty sure if the opportunity is there, everyone is more than willing to spend as much time together as we possibly can. But we'll see, And as for the future, if we're gonna continue to work together in the future, we never plan as much in the future. As soon as the music is gonna get formed, I think then decisions are going to be made according to what comes out of us. If there's a So we'll see, but we're extremely happy. And like you said, it's beautiful to have her on board. It gave us an extra weapon of sorts, that we could throw in there when you think everything is already mold and annihilated. In comes Caro, and she tears it even more apart. And it was nice to look where we could throw her in there to like open it up even more, and it was nice to work like that in the studio.
Nice. Of course, I know things are just being formulated now, tours are being planned, things are being booked, and hopefully the future is set soon where we are wide open and we can have back our concert lives. I would love to hear this material performed as one piece. I know that's challenging in and of itself, but it seems like such a fully formed concept that I may be ashamed to pull out one track and put it in a show. How do you feel about performing this entire album live?
It's a hard one. Artistically, it would make sense to bring it as a whole, because it's really like one big story, especially when you have the content it's really one massive thing that flows from one thing into another, but then practically seen, I mean, if I go and watch one of my favorite bands, I don't only want to see the last album, I want to see other songs as well. So I mean, I think we'll do it here and there, play it as a whole, but I think for the most part, we're probably gonna, try to find, and it always takes a while for us to like find the right new pieces of a puzzle of a live set, so it'll take some trial and error, and we'll find a way to mix it all up for people that have like the story straight, Amenra story as it should be, but true, artistically it should be kept together, but that kept in account should be the way with every album in a way. But it'll be a bit of both. I think we'll figure it out along the way.
Nice. I feel like I'm going to send a message to my friends at Roadburn. Maybe that's an opportunity to do something very special.
Could be. Yeah.
Sounds like a Roadburn thing. I just have a couple more for you. You've been terrific. Again, not so easy to discuss these very conceptual things that are very important and meaningful to you, and they don't need to always be explained. I like things that are not always uncovered and explained. I just do feel like a responsibility to chat with you about, how it all works for you. Obviously touring is hopefully, like I said, coming back soon. So we'll hopefully hear about that. Also, any other Amenra related projects? I know we have some, I don't think you are too nostalgic, but we do have some anniversary type things coming up eventually in the next few years. That,
Could be.
Yeah.
We never really keep track, honestly. I wouldn't know
I figured.
if there's like album anniversary things, but it's cool though. It's nice. I mean, it's nice. Sometimes it pops up online, someone figured it out that it was, 15 years or 10 years of that or something. And for us, it's kind of cool to see. We never really kept track ourselves, but we always have different projects along the lines. Lennart is like, working, has an idea for a new band that he's puzzling with and starting to rehearse with other people. And Mathieu has this new wave, dark wave thing with his girlfriend that he's working on. With Amenra, we have like a compilation coming after summer of Towns and Zan songs with Kevin and Marissa Nadler. That will get released. And then we also wrote a sound score to play live to a Russian movie called The Mirror by Andrei Tarkovsky. So those are things that will probably keep us busy in the next year, probably. Yeah. So yeah, and we constantly write and we do too much, really. It's a little too much, but it's just, yeah, while we're here, it's now that we have to do it, and we just will keep on writing and see where it brings us.
Nice. If not now, when? I think that's what we've learned after the pandemic. Like if you had an idea, go for it now, because the future is not written, and we write the future. And I'm very excited to hear about those other projects. And then just, of course, in the course of life and family and stuff, I just want, beside music, has there been anything else inspiring you? Books, music, literature, film, anything you've been into you'd like to share that we can follow, maybe?
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of movies. I don't read books. I'm a very boring person. I pretty much listen to our own rehearsal takes and try to, figure those out. And I don't really listen to a lot or read a lot or anything. So I'll be of no help to find books for you guys. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. I would find you hardly boring, my friend, but it is always wonderful to see you. I look forward to seeing you again live. I feel like the two poles of Amenra are live and the album, and they're both different but great experiences. And I just wish the most success for you and the whole band and everybody. And thank you for spending this time with Ghost Cult. It's just been an honor.
Thanks for taking the time and helping us out. It's nice to have people helping us out. To spread our word and the name, spread it around, and I hope it reaches as much people as it can. Thank you.